Welcome back to Sister Scoop, where we are talking about the big Marvel news topics of the week. Let's get into our very first one, which is we have a couple of details actually on the Vision show, which I believe has also been confirmed to actually be called Vision Quest. We are correct. It did stay with its original name.
Will it stay that name all the way through?
I mean,
I
it's made
don't
it this
know
far.
that I trust it. Yeah, but it was like the Vision Quest, the Vision show. I never even saw that it was confirmed to be Vision Quest right now. So, like, I feel like that depends on the outlet who's just
That's
calling
fair.
it whatever they
That's
want.
fair.
So, I have no confidence that that's actually what the show is or will be called, because for whatever reason, they just refuse to be like, hey, this is the name of the show. Anyway, that's not the important part. The important part is that Paul Bettany has been talking a little bit about kind of the themes and general concept of the show. Not even general concept, mostly themes. But he used, and I'm going to quote him a little bit here, but a couple words that stood out to me were things like generational trauma and fathers and sons, which my immediate reaction was, okay, we're going to get the boys. Great. But the article I was reading was like, oh, but James Spader is coming back.
I was going to say, my first reaction was, ooh, we're getting his father.
Yeah. So, like, but hey, generations, there can be multiple. So
True.
it could mean both. But I'm excited about that. I think, kind of exploring who Vision is now is going to be obviously a huge part of the show, but then it'll be cool to extrapolate that to who he is, to both his creator and also his children who are not biologically his in any facet of that word, but a version of him sort of kind of did raise them a little, maybe unclear. They see him maybe as dad. I don't know. Look, that whole thing is
I don't
so
know
confusing.
because Billy doesn't even see Wanda as his mother. So
I don't know. Tommy's a different person. Maybe he'll feel differently than Billy
fair.
does. I don't know. All I know is that, like, I'm excited for somebody else to be exploring their daddy issues that's not Tony Stark.
This is true. I raised that by saying I'm intrigued by the whole robot generational thing. If you guys have watched our show to any capacity here, I really get stuck on the whole like robot microwave drama. So I'm pretty intrigued to see where that goes exactly, because honestly, quite frankly, I wouldn't refer to Ultron personally as Vision's father. I think if we're being completely frank about the truth, first off, Vision, technically not Vision, but who became Vision, existed before Ultron. So if anything, it's the other way around. Also, I would consider Thor, Tony, and Hulk, Bruce, as well. You know what? He's Professor Hulk, so I think I get away with that now. They are one and the same. I would consider them almost more his father or fathers than Ultron. But either way, I think it'll be kind of interesting. I think it's also important to level set here that we have white vision right now. We are not going to be experiencing the same vision that we've experienced in the past few phases beyond obviously WandaVision. But even then, white vision came in at the very end there. So I think kind of knowing that we have almost a non-emotional version of Vision that's going to be in the show, at least to our knowledge, that I also think is kind of an interesting twist in some of this and how the generations will play with each other, because we're not seeing the Vision we saw in Infinity War. So I think that could be a very interesting twist as well.
I agree. I think there's going to be so many layers to this show. We don't know the number of episodes, do we?
I don't think so.
I mean, we don't even know the name. How the heck do we know the number of episodes?
This is
I was
true.
just like maybe shot in the dark. Somebody let it slip. The reason I bring it up is because I feel like there's so much to explore with this character. And so, like, I hope that they either pace it correctly or give it enough episodes to be able to, like, fully explore the themes and, like, come to a full resolution versus, as we've seen, rushing some of the shows and things like that.
Yeah.
I think they've gotten better over time, but we will see. This is also like a weird one that I feel like has been in pre-production for so long that I'm not sure how much of the old problems from some of the earlier shows have kind of been brought along the journey and how much of the newer style has influenced it. So we will see, but I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Moving on to some scary news. I think it is because if you really consider the incident, it was quite scary and could have been a lot worse. But Tom Holland was injured on the set of Brand New Day, Spider-Man Brand New Day. It was a head injury to my knowledge and from what I remember reading, because this I think did happen last week.
Yes.
But we didn't have Sister Scoop last week because we had the worst and most amazing, but also just like busy week ever, whatever. But he was taken to the hospital for his injuries. He is fine, but that obviously did pause production at this time as us covering this topic. The most important thing is that he's okay, and whenever they're able to get back to production, that's awesome. But clearly,
they're back. They went back
great.
earlier this week. Yeah.
Then there you go.
They only took a week off. Obviously, to Katie's point, like the most important thing is that Tom is okay. And yes, he had a concussion. It happened during a stunt. But to Katie's point earlier, it's lucky that it wasn't, more serious, causing, obviously, people have gotten hurt on stunts and that has caused like irreparable damage. So luckily, even though concussions are not great, it is a relatively minor injury. So that's point number one. But from a like take a step back, take the emotion out of it standpoint, it only delayed production for a week. They're saying that will not affect the release date of the film. I guess they had enough time to kind of eat that week essentially, but they went back this week to production, so everything is kind of back on and going forward.
Oh, good. I didn't see that update. So perfect on that matter. But again, we're hoping he's okay and that everything's great moving forward. But that is scary and can happen, and also can happen when actors are doing their own stunts. So again, we're just happy he's cool, he's good, and from a fan standpoint, we're also happy that production is back on.
For sure.
Also news for Brand New Day, we have a casting for Tombstone.
This is so exciting to me.
Yes.
Tombstone is not a character that I would have had on my radar previously. I know he was in the Spider-Verse, one of the Spider-Verse movies, and we'll get to that in a second. There's a reason I bring that up. He didn't make a huge impression on me in that, like, I think of like Spot and like obviously Kingpin. Like those are the ones that like stand out when I think about those films. I also haven't seen them in years.
True.
Please let us have the third one eventually so I can rewatch them, remember what they are, and then go into the third. Anyway, the reason that I'm excited about this character though is because of a show that I was not excited about going into it at all, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Like, I think you guys remember, neither one of us was super enthused about that show going into it. Came out of it and we're like, okay, you got us, Marvel Animation. Like, that was good. And knowing that that character is in there, I made me really excited and really interested in the character. So I'm pumped to see him in live action. Also, this particular actor, the reason I brought up the Spider-Verse, he voiced Tombstone in the animated film. He also was in Black Lightning, which is another superhero show that I really enjoyed that was in the Arrowverse. I believe it was connected. It was on CW and all those shows that they were putting out in the 2010s that I quite liked. Say what you will. I thought they were fun. And he was a really good actor in that. So Marvin Jones III, Tombstone in Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yeah, I think my only thing, if I have to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer as I bring this up, is I think we had a discussion like 2 or 3 weeks ago about how busy this film seems.
Fair.
I'm a little concerned that we just added another villain into it, on top of the fact that this was part of the discussion even 3 weeks ago. This film is filming, as we've already mentioned and we've talked about. So I think adding a character in the middle of filming is a little bit interesting. To match my remarks from 3 weeks ago, it makes me a little nervous. It does, on both fronts, both because of adding just a new character and having so many people involved in this film, and also just we're filming, and so why would we be adding somebody in the middle of filming? So I don't know. I mean, in a year I could be biting my words, and I'm aware of that, but it is something to just be a little bit concerned about from just a viewer standpoint. That is something that came to mind as soon as I saw it. I was like, wait, for this movie, as in the one that they're like literally doing right now? Like, that doesn't make sense.
That's a fair point. I do want to kind of put a couple of maybe positive notes on that. I think, one, there has been this rumor going around because everybody's talking about how the tank shows up in all of the set footage.
Yeah.
that there is a jailbreak scene, which is how we get, some like the Scorpion, for example, back into play, because we know he's going to have it sounds like a pretty big role in this film. I wouldn't be surprised if Tombstone is like in part of the jailbreak. Like in my head, it's not so much a big role, but he's kind of part of that. Maybe he's, a friend of Scorpion's or an ally of Scorpion's in jail. We see a little bit of that. He has the jailbreak, and we're setting him up for a future movie where he gets to play a more prominent part. That is fine with me. I'm also less concerned about them announcing this casting, even though they are filming, because I don't think it necessarily is indicative of him being cast right now. I think it's indicative of the fact that we're going to start to see him on set soon. And so they're getting ahead of the fact that that could be a potential leak, and they're just announcing it to get the press. And he's probably had this role for a while, but we're going to start to see him on set.
All right, that's fair. I'll take it. I'll take that for what that is.
I mean, I never win one, so just this is
I'm not saying you're winning, but I'll say you talked me off the edge.
You never like listen to my rebuttals and are like, okay. You're usually like, nope, shut down.
Because your rebuttals are always stupid and annoying, and I'm like, don't even say that. It's because you're always like, just to play devil's advocate. I'm like, no, we don't need to do that right now. I just want to talk.
Okay, but I had good points, so let it be.
Sometimes. Anyway, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are joining us again next week as we take on 3 new Marvel news topics. And also make sure you guys are joining us on the podcast side as we are covering all sorts of Marvel things there as well, including Marvel Zombies, which has recently come out. So don't forget about us on that side. Make sure you're visiting the podcast always as well. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.